Right, in this lesson we're going to have just a quick look at some roofs and chimneys. We're not going to cover every possibility, it's quite impossible, and we'll cover a lot more anyway when we go through some of the other lessons where we're actually painting actual scenes. But I just want to look at two of the most common areas that people worry about. Now, one of them is pantiles, as in this old barn here. Let's have a look how we produce these very characteristic sort of rounded tile that you find in all sorts of rural situations virtually throughout the world. I've started off by doing quite a dark brown roof, which will give us the nice basis for the shadows. And all I'm going to do is essentially to drag the lighter coloured paint down in a whole series of stripes. So we'll start off with a mid colour. We'll use cadmium red and cadmium yellow. And all that we're going to do is to generally just use the flat of the brush like that. I don't want it too even because I'm trying to give that sort of impression of an uneven roof. So some of the stripes, if you like, are going to be a little bit thicker than the others. Okay, so you can see now how we're just working our way along the roof. Right, now you can see I've worked my way across the roof from left to right, and I've actually started working my way back now with a slightly lighter mix. I've just added a little bit of yellow into the cadmium yellow to this mix, and I'm going to just start adding a little bit of white in, not too much. I don't want to turn it pink, but certainly a little bit lighter, and that'll start to give some more highlights. You can see here a couple of little points I want to mention. I've gone over the edge of the front edge of the roof because that will give that nice raggedy effect on the front of the roof, and I've also, as I've been putting the lines down, as I've done them straight here, I wanted to give the effect that the roof was sort of not only sagging at the top but also sagging in the middle bits. Perhaps the roof trusses were perhaps on the way out. So the way to do that is quite simply like that. Just that sort of elongated C effect. And probably if I had more time, I'd go on and add some more highlights and really lift it. But I think you can see the idea now. It's not at all difficult. All I'm using is the 1/2 inch flat brush, and I'm just stabbing a whole series of lines and creating the undulations in the roof just by the way I put those lines on. Pantiles, dead easy. Right, still with the flat brush in my hand, I've just painted this very quick picture of a nondescript building. Now this could be any building you want that's got a tiled roof, but I'm using it to very quickly illustrate again how easy it is to create chimneys on a roof. The first one we're going to look at is the traditional one where it sits astride the roof. I'm going to use much the same colour I used to do the pantiles, but I've created a darker colour as well. Now we've got the lighter side here coming from the left and the shadow on the right, so the first thing we're going to do is to create our sunlit side of the chimney. Now we'll take some shadow colour and I'll just draw that down like that. But all you've got to do is take the roof line in about halfway from this side of the chimney to about there, and then if I just take the corner of the brush like that, you can see that we've got the chimney coming in, and instantly you can see that the chimney sits across the top of the ridge. Let's look at one now where the chimney is on the opposite side of the roof. Even easier. We'll go into the light colour again, like that, and we take that to where the roof line runs past the chimney. Again, we'll get some dark colour. We'll just use the width of the brush, but you can see immediately that the roof runs past the chimney on both sides, so it tells the viewer that the chimney is actually sitting on the side of the roof but on the other side. Let's have a look at it if we want it on this side of the roof. Again, like this, we're coming right down across the side of the roof like that. Let's get the dark again. Now remember, this time we only brought this down halfway or to where the roof line met it and created that little ridge. Well, this time we're going to bring that all the way down and keeping the line of this ridge parallel with the line of the end of the roof, otherwise it'll look odd. Don't forget, if the roof is sloping at that angle, you've got to have this line at the same angle. So that's about the same angle. Now that doesn't quite reach, so I'm just going to take that chimney down in a second with a little bit of lighter colour. We'll come back to that in a second. And we'll start off again. Let's just get that down to there. Something like that. But you can see right away how that's immediately now sitting on this side of the roof with a gap behind the chimney where the roof runs past it along to the other end. Okay, the final one we're going to do is where the chimney is right at the end of the gable. We'll take some of the dark brown paint that we used for the side of the wall, and we'll just run down like that. Now then, all that we've got to do is paint in the sunny side of the chimney, so I'll clean the brush. Okay, now you can see I'm just running that down. Okay, now you can see the way that has dropped square where the angle of the roof changes and then goes up the chimney. That's where the chimney will sit into the roof, so that's where we'll leave it. Okay, now if we're going to put chimney pots on, then again we can do it a couple of ways. I'll do one way with the 1/2 inch flat brush again, and this is a very simple way to produce a couple of nice chimney pots without getting into too much detail. Remember, the light's coming from the left, so having gone into that side to get the roundness of the chimney, we just put a couple of little bits of darker colour paint. It could be dark red or whatever you want it to be, and just drag it out. We'll go back in with a little bit of, that's better, a little bit of lighter colour. Just blend that centre section slightly so you can see you've got a bit of a shadow on one side. Let's emphasise that a bit more. There we are. There's a real deep shadow. Now when you do that, you really turn the sunlight on. But if you want to just develop that and blend it slightly, then you can just drag it out. And there we are. You can go on forevermore. You can add a little bit of light now if you want and go backwards in, and here we go again. And I'm enjoying myself and I'm fiddling, so I'm going to stop there. The only other one I would suggest is that if you want to, you can use the round brush or a filbert brush, and you create yourself not quite so angular a chimney pot. You could try it this way, like that. For now, I'm going to finish on that and just leave it more or less at that, with one final thing, and that is how and where do you paint shadows? Well, in this case, the light's coming from the left-hand side, so the shadow, the sunlight is coming here. The shadow, in fact, will appear up here, not down here. Always think that the light is coming from here. The shadow will almost certainly appear in this triangular area here. We'll just paint that in like that. Now, to complicate the matter, if that was the case, we'd have a shadow on this side of the chimney cast from this chimney pot here. We'll go back to the 1/2 inch flat brush, just take that off there. We'll actually bring that down slightly. Don't be afraid to blend the shadow of the chimney pot into, or the chimney stack, into the actual shadow itself. We probably find that that would have a little bit of shadow like that if it was cast, and then in the same way we'd have the chimney stack. Just leave a little bit of light behind the chimney, that's quite important. It's a nice little bit of light against dark, so that there we are, like that, so that we keep that like that. Okay, I am going to leave that in now, and it's only been a fun little exercise. As I say, obviously I can't think of any building where you get all those sorts of chimneys on one roof, certainly a roof that short. So it's a nice little exercise. If you've got 20 minutes, half an hour before tea and you've got nothing better to do, it's well worth having a go. So there we are, some very, very simple way to produce chimneys and chimney pots.